Hello, this is Kinninigan from RagingReptilian.com. I made a mention about this. I'll read the comment. You go to the comment. Yes, it's Batman. We're going to be talking about ancient Mayan mythology today, specifically the Mayan bat god Camazotz. And I made a mention that it was quite possibly the inspiration for the Batman novels. And so we'll talk a little about this. And of course, I'll give a lot of commentary over this article. D. Mayer, I'm really keen for the Batman video. Please make it. Absolutely. Now, I pulled up the opening here. This is from the original. I'm going to stop this about not too far in. This is the original Batman. I don't think I'm going to get copyright for it because it is from 1966, but I wanted to pause right here. Obviously, the first time it was made into a TV show, it starred Adam West, and that name in itself is a very Masonic name. West, Kanye West, they use stage names in Hollywood, and Freemason identify themselves as saying that I am a traveling man following the sun, which rises in the east and sets in the west. Just a little occult tidbit there. But the infamous Batman logo. The idea of retelling and getting inspiration from ancient mythology and then converting it into comic books is, well, obviously it would be used. A lot of writers do it. George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones is based off the Viking Ragnarok story. I did a Game of Thrones Decoded. Anyone that works in fiction or comic books is going to have to draw inspiration for their superheroes from somewhere. Now, just to give you an idea, Wolverine, it's another character, I believe this is the DC universe, right? That is actually inspired from the occult idea of lycanthropy, which is an occult satanic ritual of turning yourself into a werewolf. I'll make a video about lycanthropy in the future. It's very misunderstood what that ritual involves, and sadly it does involve sacrificing a wolf under a full moon and wearing its wolf pelt. Now, the Mayan god Camazotz look familiar to you. That is an authentic Mayan artifact of their bat god. He was a vampire bat. We're going to read a little bit about it. Now, what's interesting is this story went viral. There's a big interest in superhero movies right now. Hello, Marvel. So Snopes, of all people, try to debunk this. And this is how pathetic Snopes is becoming. Why are they getting involved in a viral Batman mythology story? I'll explain why. It's because of the right here at Ancient Origins, it's that artifact you're looking at right there. That is not an authentic Mayan artifact, and that's what Snopes tried to debunk. Oh, blew up the screen too big. Hold on, just bear with me. People ask me to increase the text size, but yeah, that's too big. The way this website's formatted, if I do it too big, it gets all... Now that was actually created in 2014 to be put on display in a Mexican museum in honor of their bat god, the Mayan bat god, Camazotz, and a little bit of their history. And I could tell you just by looking at that, that is not an authentic Mayan artifact, obviously. However, this one is. This is a actual representation right here. And yeah, it looks a lot like the infamous Batman logo. So why was Snopes? You know, Snopes had to debunk this. They did it in May of 2019. That's right around when... this is a pretty new story as far as the mythology of the... So that, yeah, Snopes miscaptioned. Yeah, why are they even trying to debunk this? That artifact... Because you can't do anything online now without Snopes fact-checking you now, can you? That was the one I was just showing you. That is the authentic Camazotz. Now, obviously, you're going to draw inspiration for superheroes from somewhere, and the idea of it. But yes, this was a real-life god, and I love ancient mythology. I've made a couple videos on the Maya, And I'm going to warn you up front, I am going to butcher some of these words because Mayan is not exactly spoken like real Spanish, if you know anything about the language. The Mayan civilization mainly existed in Guatemala, and they've been making some TV shows on there because they've been able to find some new Mayan temples with the help of a new sonar scan that allows them to see through the canopy of the jungle. So there was a huge, like, whenever you have something like that happen, they're going to go there and try to take out artifacts they don't want you to see. Not only that, but there would be a lot of gold in these temples, like gold artifacts. The mystery of the Mayan civilization itself and its disappearance is an interesting video topic. There's been a few theories on what happened to the Mayans, but it's still a mystery. Now, the word Maya, actually the occult translation of the word Maya, actually means illusion. Pretty interesting, right? So Batman existed in Mesoamerican mythology, and his name was Camazotz. And it's quite possibly that the creator of the original Batman comics got his inspiration from this deity. Pretty interesting, right? As the social media is abuzz with who might be cast in the next Batman movie, with concerns that some of the candidates might not be menacing enough to fill those big black boots, let's stop here. I made a mention yesterday. To me, the best Batman movie was the original Tim Burton 1989 one with Jack Nicholson as the Joker. How can you replace Jack Nicholson as the Joker? I'm sorry. You're right. Night reboots of it. It might be time to look again at one of the bat figures that was featured as an imposing power in Mesoamerican mythology, Camazotz. Camazotz, meaning death bat in Quiche, the Mayan language of Guatemala, originated deep in Mesoamerican mythology as a dangerous cave-dwelling bat creature. A cult following for the creature began amongst Zapotec Indians of Oaxaca, told you I'm going to butcher some of these words, Mexico, and the figure was later adopted into the pantheon of the Maya Quiche tribe, and the legends of the bat god were later recorded in Maya literature. Bats are considered to be menacing creatures in many cultures. They are nocturnal and thus associated with the night, which is often associated with death. Hence, the Batman mythology in the comic books, he was a vigilante, mainly worked at night in Gotham City, fighting crime. Many common species also have a relatively bizarre appearance, which makes them all more off-putting for humans. It doesn't help that there is a species that actually sucks blood, the vampire bat, the Modus rotundus. Now, the idea in certain fantasy and fiction of vampires turning into bats, that's where that comes from. And it's a direct reference to blood drinking. That's why, we have the idea of vampires being able to shapeshift into bats, and that's why it's specifically the vampire bat, the blood-sucking vampire bat. And that's what Camazotz was. Camazotz, I'm sorry. In Maya culture, the bat god Camazotz is linked to death. Camazotz is also the name of a monstrous creature which inhabited a cave called the House of the Bats in Pueblo Vu. Most scholars believe that Camazotz was inspired by the common vampire bat, but others have suggested it was based on a giant vampire bat probably went extinct during the Pleistocene or Holocene periods. A monster bat. In the Pueblo Vu, I don't think I'm saying it correctly. In ancient Mayan mythological text, Zatz il Laha was the name of a cave inhabited by Camazotz, a monster with a roughly humanoid body, the head of a bat, and a nose that resembled a flint knife. The monster was said to attack victims by the neck and decapitate them. In Pueblo Vu, it is recorded that the creature decapitated the Maya hero Hanupu. Camazotz is also one of the 4 animal demons responsible for wiping out mankind during the first age of the sun. I got my own theories. The other things I discuss is reptilians, and there is no doubt in my mind that the Mayan and Aztec civilizations, in fact I pretty much have proof for it, was probably rolled over by shape-shifting reptilians. And I believe that the Mayan civilization is actually linked to all people of Cthulhu. Very interesting things there. This is why, you know, it's associated with some very sinister things. Blood drinking. This is where Elizabeth Bathory was the inspiration of the Dracula novels. I made a video about her. The one who used to bathe in the blood of her servants to keep her youthful looking appearance. And of course we still have modern day blood drinking and adrenochrome harvesting of all things. Bat-like demons and monsters are common in South America and Central America. Another example of such story is the Chan Chan in Peru and Chile, which is thought to be created when a sorcerer known as Kaku performs a magical rite causing his severed head to sprout giant ears and talons at death. The giant ears become wings. This ubiquity of giant monster bat legends leads many archaeologists to propose that the monsters have a basis in encounters with a real animal, such as the vampire bat. The vampire bat is favored because of its historical association with bloodletting and sacrifice. So we're on the same page here, ancient origins, huh? It is, however, possible that the legends could be derived from the giant bat that was present during the Pleistocene or early Holocene, which still might exist today. That was the Chan Chan, sprouting his ears into wings. Yeah. Giant vampire bats. In 1988, a fossil of a vampire bat was discovered in the Mongoose province of Venezuela. The bat was larger than the modern vampire bat by 25% and was dubbed Demodus draculae. This is interesting. That is Latin for, you see, Draculae, draconian. They're making a reptilian reference there in Latin. It is more popularly known as the giant vampire bat. Sites containing examples of it have been found in the Yucatan, Belize, northern Brazil, and Venezuela. In 2000, a tooth from D. draculae was found in Argentina, much further south of the modern range of Demodus genus. It is difficult to date exactly when D. draculae went extinct, or if it went extinct at all. All the sites have been dated so far between the late Pleistocene and late Holocene. The latest age found for the D. draculae site is 300 BP, circa 1650 AD. The latest age in Central America is hard to ascertain, but is probably either late Pleistocene or Holocene. These dates make it very possible that D. draculae coexisted with humans in South America and Central America, and humans could have come in contact with D. draculae, though towards the late Holocene they would have been vanishingly rare. D. draculae sightings. And yeah, if you're wondering, the root of Dracula obviously is draconian. It's Latin for the Alpha Draconian star system. So they know more than they let on with a lot of this terminology they use. Anytime you hear draconian laws or Dracula or Draculae, it's a direct reference to Draco, the Alpha Draconian star system, and the reptilians, who obviously engage in blood drinking, hence Dracula, and this bat here. In addition to this evidence, there have been mysterious sightings of giant bats or bat-like creatures. One of the earliest sightings dates back to 1947, when J. Harrison claimed to have seen several large flying creatures which were described as giant bats, though some people also claim they were living pediosaurs. Yeah, there's I've made a video about the Thunderbird and the Snallygaster on my channel. If you're curious, you can run. Those were obviously some giant creatures that we had flying around here in North America, and there's even Native American Indian legends about them. They refer to it as also the Piazza bird. In the early 1950s, a Brazilian couple claimed that they encountered a bat-like creature in the same valley that fossils of D. draculae were discovered in Brazil. Another incident occurred in 1975 when an outbreak of animal mutilations hit Puerto Rico. A farmer said it was repeatedly attacked by two gray bird-like creatures. These creatures were also seen by others throughout the mutilation outbreak. Another sighting occurred in the mid-1970s in Texas when a farmer asserted he had encountered a bald bat or pediosaur-like creatures with short beaks and gorilla-like faces. Three-toed prints of this creature were also said to have been found. This is another Mayan statue of him. Did Dracula inspire the story of Camazotz? The common vampire bat, D. rotundus, has an 8-inch wingspan. Since D. draculae was 25% larger, it would have required more blood and probably would have attacked larger animals and possibly even humans. It's undoubtable that an attack by a rare giant bat would give rise to legends of supernatural monsters. Despite the tantalizing fossil evidence and the strange stories about encounters with giant bats, there isn't any indisputable evidence at the moment that D. draculae was common enough to be encountered by ancient inhabitants of South America and Central America on a regular basis, or the giant vampire bat is still alive today and thus could be the creature reported in the giant bat sightings. Nonetheless, the fact that the fossil evidence suggests that D. draculae may have coexisted with humans for thousands of years in the Americas and the ubiquitous legends of bat-like monsters all over South and Central America does make it a plausible connection. So, was the original Batman inspired by this? I believe so. And this might have been why they made this artifact, the one I'm showing here that Snopes tried to debunk. It's not authentic Mayan. Quite possibly. Like I said, you're going to draw inspiration for a lot of things, especially if you're doing fantasy. Take Tolkien, for example. He wasn't the first one to come up with the idea elves and orcs. That idea has been around for a long time. In fact, that goes back to, if you're watching the Thor movies from Marvel, Thor the Dark World actually deals with the Dark Elves in the other realm. So, a lot of this, yeah, you're going to draw inspiration from. And a lot of modern movies and fiction are just retelling of older ancient Greek stories. And what you do is you take the characters in those stories, you change them around, you give them some plot lines for drama. And of course, you know, if you're going to be inventing a lot of superheroes for a comic book universe, you're going to have to draw inspiration from different things. So the idea of the blood-drinking bat being associated with caves and nighttime, hence comes forth Bruce Wayne and Batman, who at night becomes a vigilante resembling, you know, a bat, obviously. So I noticed right up that this logo right here, though, looks a lot like the, you know, kind of like this. It's more on the lines, especially this one, right? These two do look the same. There's no disputing that one. So that's the infamous Batman logo there. And yeah, so I did this one because I'm not going to be watching DC movies and decoding their I am going to do the Marvel universe though, because there's a huge interest in Marvel. I told people I've been watching the movies, and just for like a little clue, it's no they're pretty open about it. Like, for example, Captain America is based off the Super Soldier program. So is Incredible Hulk, and to a degree, so is Iron Man. In fact, I think all the Avengers are. Even Black Widow and Hawkeye, even though they're not quote-unquote technically super soldiers, it still involves elite, you know, elite soldier training that they got, obvious. The most interesting one to decode in that universe is actually going to be, of all things, Spider-Man, because that has some very sinister occult roots. I've made videos on the Bohemian Grove and why they have a logo out front saying, "Weaving spiders come not here." Yeah, spiders are one of the first things, and they're associated with demonism, of all things. Catholic priests claim to see these spiders manifest when they're performing exorcisms. People on high amounts of like methamphetamine have see these meth spiders crawling all over. It deals with lower dealing into lower dimensional realms, like where the archons reside. Some very interesting things about that. So what I'm going to do when I obviously decode the Marvel universe is give you the origin of all the superheroes. The easiest one is going to be Thor, because there's really not so much to decode with Thor and the Viking pantheon. And then take, for example, the villain in... And you know what? I don't think Thanos has anything on the Jack Nicholson Joker. I'm sorry, Thanos. But Thanos, interestingly, he is called a Titan in that movie. Interesting. I'm not only going to decode the superheroes, I'm going to decode the villains for you also. Very interesting things there. And some of the occult symbolism that's going on in the whole entire Marvel universe, obviously. So, interesting. This, like I said, I'm going to leave you with this image right here because that is the most obvious, that is pretty much, looks like the Batman symbol. And that is an authentic Mayan artifact. The one on that I was showing you earlier, obviously, this was made for a Mexican museum in honor of Camazotz. In 2014, I believe that was made. And that's what Snopes is trying to debunk, because this recent article went viral on a few news sites, and good old Snopes has to come along and debunk everything now, don't they? They just stay out of ancient mythology, Snopes. You don't know what you're talking about, that's all I'm saying. It's a pretty interesting video, right? Mixing comic books and ancient Mayan mythology together, of all things. Anyway, I'll leave all these links in the description. Any questions or comments, leave them below. Until we speak again, this is Kinninigan, and take care.